everyone, my name is Alison Woodall and I'm a relocation specialist. That means I get to help you with the financial, logistical and emotional issues that make moving to a new state so stressful. And today I get to talk to Josu, who owns All-in-One Moving in Boise, Idaho. Josu, welcome.
Hi, Alison.
Well, I am looking forward to talking to you so much because moving is one of the most stressful things about the whole relocating to a new state process. And first of all, I would love to talk to you just about Boise, because I know that there are a lot of people who are interested in moving to Idaho, and then we'll get talking all about moving. So tell me about Boise. What do you love about it?
Well, I've been here all my life, born and raised. I'm actually from Keene, Idaho, which is a suburb of Boise, but I've seen Boise changed quite a bit, especially in the last few years. I love the vegetation and everything that there is around here. Skiing is usually about an hour away, and summers are nice.
I love Idaho. And, you know, I always say that in the states where you do get a bit of snow in winter, everybody's so prepared. So it's not like, well, I live in Atlanta. So you get snow in Atlanta and everything shuts down. Snow in Idaho, everybody's prepared, and it's your moving trucks keep on moving, I'm guessing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, perfect. So let's talk about the moving process kind of from beginning to end. So the very first thing that someone needs to do when they are finding that moving company, what is the first thing that someone needs to do when they're getting ready to decide how to move their stuff?
I'd always recommend looking into different companies. There's a lot of brokers. There's a lot of people like that out there. Their names include logistics, logistical, all that. I look them up online. Go onto the DOT motor carrier website, which is online. If you get a DOT number, motor carrier number from people, research it. You know, if they are honest, legitimate people, they'll give you all their information up, their insurance information, personal, or, you know, their names, their phone numbers, and all that information up. They won't be afraid to let people know that. And do your research. There's plenty of companies out there, but what I would do is look and see, you know, even with DOT, it'll tell you when they're established, give you insurance information on their site, it will give you physical addresses, this and that, but that's the best way to go. And I would start that way to check on that, get a hold of who you feel comfortable with. A lot of the times you do a Zoom call, or you can do an inventory sheet, fill everything up, and then send it back to them. And what I usually do is give them a price, put everything on a contract. That's what we go by. 1 truck, 2 trucks, or 3 trucks, depending on what it is. What I typically do is a flat rate per truck. I don't commingle people's things in a truck, but I have a flat rate for a truck fee, and that's what it is, including labor, wrapping everything, and assembly, disassembly of furniture, and transportation, all that stuff for that fee.
All right, wonderful. So I will link to that DOT website. So if you call someone and it just doesn't sound legitimate, they won't give you their information, then you should have like a red flag that this is probably a broker. And if you can't find them on the DOT website, then probably you need to call someone else. Is that what you're saying?
I'd call somebody else. I'd check on that. There also is a pamphlet online from the motor carriers, which is the ready to move pamphlet that you can find on there too. That does state everything, the rules, the logistics of release valuation of the insurance and all that stuff. But I would go and I'd research that as well.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'll put a link to that. So when you know that you've found like a good carrier, then obviously you have to think about your price point, because everybody has a different budget. And, you know, could you give us kind of like a rough guide to how much it would cost? Presumably, while it's the flat rate for the truck, the distance is going to impact it depending on how far your move is. So if it was, say, Southern California to, you know, Northern Idaho, is there like a rough fee range that would be something for 1 truck for a move like that?
Roughly a 126-foot truck would be $6,500 to $7,500 with one truck and a driver, loading it, unloading it, and then 2 trucks, you're probably 10 to 11, somewhere around there. But it all depends upon distance, especially with gas going up right now. All that, it's hard to say.
Well, but it's good just to give people a price point, because if you have a budget of $2,000 to move all of your stuff, then you're not going to be able to afford to, hire a professional moving company like yourself. And I always think if you set that clear expectation when you know what your budget is, then you know that, yes, you're going to have to rent a cheap U-Haul and do it yourself, or there's ways of moving your stuff, but your budget is going to determine kind of what you can afford. And then obviously, like you say, it's going to depend on how many trucks you need, the mileage, the gas prices, and all of that. But that's a good, budgeting point for someone.
Go look at Estes, at UPAC, and look at those companies as well. Sometimes they're a good price with fuel, everything included. What I typically do is I look at rental truck prices, look at fuel, and that's what I determine my rates on, is truck, fuel, and then labor, and everything else. And that's what I go by. A lot of the times my prices are a lot less than a U-Haul or Penske out of California. And that's with everything included. You're getting a full moving company for the price that it would cost you just to get a truck. Then you've got fuel on top of it and everything else. It's going to cost you quite a bit more.
Yes, and I would agree. And to me, sometimes, particularly when you're going through the stress and exhaustion of moving, it's worth paying a little bit more or doing your research to make sure that you can, if someone had come in and packed up the whole of my house, that to me, that there is no price you can put on that. It's just the most amazing experience when you're going through that stress. I have teenagers, and so I use my teenagers as free labor, but I would much prefer to have a professional if it was within my budget. Okay, so you found, when someone's found the right company, they know what they can afford, they've done all their research, and they come to you and say, yes, I want to use your company. You send them, like you say, an inventory sheet, and you would do some kind of video call with them so that you can, that's presumably so you can estimate whether you need 1 truck or 2 trucks. Is that correct? That's the next stage?
Correct. Photos, Zoom, inventory. I look at everything, and that'll determine how many trucks we need. Then I get a written contract set up. To have contracts, it states all the stipulations, the dates, how many trucks we have, what the price is. The price will not change, and everything is all there, set in stone. Okay,
and that is the most important thing, is having that written contract, because in the Facebook groups, I see so many horror stories of people who've got a quote over the phone from someone they think is actually a moving company, but 9 times out of 10 it's a broker, and they say, oh yes, it'll be $4,000, and then the truck shows up on the day, if it even shows up at all, and then that moving company says, oh no, it's going to be 10,000 or 15,000, and
or they hold it hostage.
Yeah, that's simply because that broker has sold that load to the cheapest person, and then they get there and you've got way more stuff than was quoted for. So the only way to avoid that situation is to do your research, find a reputable company with a DOT number, and then get that binding quote.
That happens all the time. I usually get calls like that all the time. I've had people call me crying because they get somebody that comes in, offers them $5,000. Where I got one that somebody offered them $2,500 to Florida, and a truck to Florida is going to cost you $2,500. And they tried to come and they tried to grab all their stuff, and they said no, so they backed out of it. But even locally here in Idaho, I'm getting calls from people that's happening to people here as well. So it's a nationwide occurrence that this type of behavior is happening, and it's sad because people are taking advantage of people and preying on people that are vulnerable, that are, trying to move and trying to start a new life, and they're just trying to, get out of there. But there's people out there that are scamming people, and it's not right.
Yeah, it's so bad. But this is what we try to do in the groups, is to educate people. And I appreciate you talking to me so that we can share your guidance and your information to try and help it, stopping happening.
People are welcome to call text or email me. I'm happy to help out with questions. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to get a hold of me. But pricing, look at how much the trucks are and then add fuel. But I'm still, I'll get it up there. I'm not going to hold it hostage. I'm not going to, do that. I don't provide packing. Mine is make sure everything's ready to go, make sure it's boxed up, and we wrap everything up furniture-wise, disassemble furniture, reassemble it, and then off we go.
Well, perfect. So talking about that packing up. So I always tell people you have way more stuff than you realize, and it takes way longer to pack it up than you expect. So start packing as soon as possible. Do you have any guidance for people when they're actually packing their stuff up so that it travels safely and it makes it easier and quicker for you to actually get it loaded?
Typically, I recommend that people have their household goods packed up a couple days in advance. I recommend Costco totes. They've worked out well. They stack up nicely. Smaller boxes, I don't like extra large boxes. If you put way too much weight in them, they can crush. That's not the favorite, but make sure everything is packed up a couple days in advance. And a lot of the times people put stuff in the garage. They're sitting there, the boxes are in the garage. They can pack them up, put them in there. That's the easiest way. And then we can come in, we can wrap everything up, put everything in the truck, and typically 3 guys, 1 truck's up 3 to 4 hours to load it up if everything is ready to go.
Wonderful. Yeah, I hear horror stories from moving companies where you get there to load someone up and they're still, packing everything up. So it's, and presumably that kind of thing, it can impact the cost, and there can be surcharges and things. No, not for you.
I don't do that.
Oh, well, you're
I just make sure that they got it ready to go. And if we show up, I always tell them ahead of time that it's got to be ready. And 90% of the time, those guys are set to go. They want to get out of California, so they're already ready to go.
Oh, perfect. And then, so you specialize mainly on the West Coast, moving from California to West Coast states?
Typically, yes. And I get people that ask me about other states, and I'll just give them advice. I'll help them out. West Coast states are what we do. Northern California, usually we have it offloaded within 24 hours of loading it. Southern California, typically within 36 to 48 hours. And we try to get that quick and, get it taken care of.
That's great. Yeah, because you hear horror stories of, cross-country moves where stuff gets delayed for weeks and weeks. And again, that's just, you choose the company that gives you the service that you need.
Yeah.
Well, wonderful. Well, any other guidance that you have other than, be careful who you make sure you've done your research for the right person, that you know what you can afford and you've packed up well in advance?
Check the movers list that you guys have on there, because I've also found a lot of people that aren't authorized that slip into the group that try to do moving, and I've notified Terry or Allison too of people like that. Those are the people that aren't licensed, that aren't insured, that try to slip in. So no matter what you do, people do try to get around stuff. But even people on the list, ask them for credentials, ask them for references. I'm not afraid to give you references. If you want other customers, I'm happy to give them to you and provide you with whatever you need to make you feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Well, and so the list is, when you're scrolling through the Facebook page, when you actually click on the Facebook group name in your feed, it'll take you to the homepage, and then underneath the main picture on the homepage are certain sections, and you're looking for the one that says files. So you may have to scroll all the way over to the right hand side, click on the more arrow, and it's a drop down there, and it says files. And in that file section, that's where we have the approved movers and also a lot of other vendors as well. And if you use someone on that list, you know that they've been approved by Terry Gilliam, who runs this group. He's done all the research. Everybody on that list is, approved and is a great company to use. If you go in the group and you ask, hey, who did you use? Then that's, like you say, where you get not necessarily the scanners, but maybe just not the most professional company or the person that you want to use. Use the people off the approved moving list. All right.
There's plenty of people, good people on the list. So, do your research. The biggest thing is do your research, take your time, check everything out, and make sure, that you check people's credentials. That's the biggest thing I'd push.
Yeah. And just, you know, because you're running a business, if you think about how much gas costs in California, if someone gives you a ridiculously low quote, it should be a red flag when you think about just the gas from driving from where you are to where you want to move to. And then I don't know how much more. I drive an F-150 and that costs a lot. So
I drive an Expedition, so it's the same thing.
Yeah, add in the cost of a giant moving truck, just the gas alone before you add in labor and, you know, insurance and all of that.
$2,500 isn't going to cut it.
No, it's not. Well, wonderful. So if someone wants to contact you, what's the best way?
Via phone, text, or you can go on our website and phone 208-353-2104. And I'm happy to help anybody with other questions. If you have other moving questions at all, if it doesn't pertain to me, you know, I'm happy to help out.
Okay, wonderful. And do you have an email address? Is that another way someone can contact you? Or
I do. josu2113@icloud.com.
Okay, perfect. And I'll link to all of these, all that information in the comment section, and also to the DOT website. And then if you can email me that wherever I find that pamphlet with the moving information, I'll link to that as well. Well, thank you so much. This has been so incredibly informative. And if it saves just one person from, you know, dealing with a broker and having all kinds of issues with their moving, then it's been very valuable. So everybody just listen to what Josu says, take his advice. And if you are moving on the West Coast, reach out to him. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alison.